everybody on Facebook and YouTube. This is episode 5 of The Circle, coming to you live from Fluto. No, we're not at Fluto's. We're at 685 in Pflugerville, Texas. Come on down and have a drink with us. Jump on. We can talk some current events. My buddy Brad here has a whole list of things that he wants to talk about. I'm Aubrey, and say hello, Brad.
Hi.
Now, we did miss a couple of episodes there, a couple of weeks, not episodes.
We did. Yeah, we missed a couple of weeks. The first week, 2 weeks ago, that one was on me. I'm a bit of an introvert, so every now and then, if you know anything about introverts, we have to recharge our social batteries a little bit. And so I hit you up that Sunday right around lunchtime. I was like, bro, I'm gonna take this week off, man. I need to stay in my cave a little bit.
Yeah, and then last week was Mother's Day, and that was kind of on me. I know you were ready to do it then, but I was having a little bit of a breakdown. How was your Mother's Day, by the way?
It was good. It was really good. Yeah, I went over to my sister and my brother-in-law's house and got to hang out with mom and dad and my nieces. My oldest niece wasn't there; she was still up in San Angelo at college, but my 2 younger nieces were there, and saw the family, got to hang out, have a little food. So yeah, it was pleasant. We'll call it that.
Well, now I'll tell everybody on the air here that you have to enjoy and really enjoy the time that you have with your mom. Mine passed 2 years ago, and boy, was this one a hard one. Talking about
you've been dealing with that. Yeah. I know around this time of year, then also around the holidays, it's been tough on you the past couple of years. So yeah.
It has been tough, but I'm hoping that distance from the event will make it a little bit easier.
I'm sure it'll make it easier. The pain's always going to be there, but you have to take the pain with the good things as well, and have those good memories, and just try to concentrate on that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so that's what I tried to do. It was terrible for me last week, so that's why we missed last week because of Mother's Day, and I was in the fetal position crying all day. So,
hey.
But we're here today, and we're gonna knock this one out of the park.
That's right. Hopefully you guys are y'all are hanging in there with us on this thing. So let's roll into it.
Yeah, let's go. I don't know if people can hear us. I hope they can. So if you're on, then let us know if you can hear us. And I've got a couple of people saying that they can hear us, so that's good.
Fantastic.
All right. So, topic number 1. Well, let's go with the fantasies. Fantasy, what was it?
Are you talking about like hentai here, or like what are we getting?
I don't want to see your tail, bro.
All right, so
fantasy series book.
If anybody's curious, what Aubrey's looking at is I send him a screenshot of my basically podcast topic list, and what I do is when I'm out and about during the day and I think of something fun that might be cool to talk about with my brother, and I just sort of do a little note thing on my phone and save it. And since I'm using my phone today to record for the YouTube, and Aubrey's on his phone recording for Facebook Live, I had to send him the list. So he doesn't exactly know what the list is. I've got my own secret code that I write that shit in.
So it sounds a little bit off.
Pretty much what I was getting at with that, it was, I know I'm a huge sci-fi fantasy fan. I think you are to a certain extent as well. I know we've had a lot of good conversations about some of the recent Star Wars shows, things like that. And so I just wanted to kind of, get in a little bit to how did you get into, that genre of movies and TV shows and things of that nature? Were you a reader back in the day, or was it movies? Or
Well, people that know me know that I have dyslexia, so I don't read a lot because it's work.
Yeah.
But how I got into it was my thing was Star Trek.
Yeah.
And I mean Captain Kirk and all that kind of stuff, man. And you had some. Yes. I tried to be a Vulcan for a while. I was a little kid. I was like, no emotion. And that's probably, anybody that's dated me probably knows that now. I don't have any emotion.
They're probably fully convinced you're still a Vulcan. Yeah.
but that was, and then they had a black character on there too. So,
yeah.
Uhura,
and
so.
the first interracial kiss ever on TV.
Oh, I know. I didn't like that so much, but now I've broken into it a little bit. Just a little bit.
Please. A little bit.
You don't know my life.
You don't know me.
But that's how I got into it. Star Trek was my big thing. What about you, man?
So I never really, Star Trek was on, but when I was kind of growing up, it wasn't the old one. It was the Next Generation. You know? And so I watched that a little bit, and I always liked Star Trek. It was really cool because Star Trek was always a little bit more based on reality. They tried. I mean, obviously it was still science fiction, but they tried to bring a modicum of reality into it as far as and you know this, and probably most of my friends out there did, I am the biggest Star Wars nerd you'll ever find anywhere. If we ever do the podcast at the house, we'll do it in my man cave, which is basically just Star Wars on steroids in the man cave.
Everywhere.
It's crazy. So
And I bought you a puzzle one time, didn't I?
you did. You bought me a puzzle. You guys got me some Legos at one time.
Yeah, the Legos.
I am hardcore into Star Wars Legos. I've spent entirely too much money on that shit. It is ridiculous how expensive they are, and they target the right demographic.
Yeah.
They know that they have middle-aged nerds out there that will spend $500 on a set of Star Wars Legos. 100%. And I am guilty.
Were you like a comic book fan or anything like that? I was Spider-Man, so Spider-Man was my big thing because he had real world problems.
Yeah.
He couldn't get the girl. He worked hard, but could never get never get ahead. He was always behind on his bills. Didn't know where he was gonna live.
Yeah.
His mistakes caused his uncle. So it was real world problems for me, not like Superman that has no problem.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man was mine. Did you have anything like that?
So I did read comics, not probably as much as, I wasn't really a comic book kid or like an action figure kid. I was, growing up on a small farm outside of Pflugerville. We played with farm toys. Literally, like we would buy little tractors and we would go plow the carpet up in the living room, me and my cousins, stuff like that. But no, what got me into Star Wars was really the books. I was a voracious reader, and I remember reading... I remember seeing Return of the Jedi because that one was kind of right around when I was a young kid.
Okay.
I remember seeing it, and I was fascinated with it because it was this, space opera, as they call it. So then I went and got the VHS tapes, and I watched the whole thing probably 100 times, the trilogy. And then when I was able to really start getting into the novels, is when I really turned into the person I am now. I probably own close to 100 Star Wars novels, so
I'm fighting off a sneeze here, something fierce. So
get it done, brother. Get it done. Here, I'll mute you real quick. You do your thing.
All right.
Technology at its finest, right there. Just press a
job.
button.
Good job.
What sneeze? I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, so that's kind of where I came in, and then from there it just exponentially grew into I got into the comic books from there, and a lot of the literature, the backstory, what they call legends now, because when Disney bought Star Wars from Lucas for $3 gazillion, whatever they paid him for it, they took everything that had happened besides the movies and certain things. They called it legends, and so they made it not canon anymore, and they started over with a clean slate. And what's fun to me now is, I love The Mandalorian. We've talked about that.
Yes.
Excellent show. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing a great job with that show. They're really kind of bringing it back to what Star Wars used to be, kind of a gritty space western type feel, Sweating out all those starfuckers from last night, or what?
Hey, let's not talk about last
We
night.
won't talk about last night.
We won't talk about
On the air.
No, but wasn't the Star Wars kind of loosely based off the Jewish experience? Isn't that what they're saying now these days?
I haven't heard that.
Really?
Yeah. So what have you heard? What is that all about?
Well, I thought you're the history buff, so I thought you may know about that. That's what I heard some, but
Like kind of the World War II Holocaust type thing?
yeah,
Or-
some
So
of that stuff.
kind of like the persecution of the
Yeah.
Jews during the Holocaust. I mean, I could see maybe a little loose connection there. You know what's funny is that I've seen interviews with George Lucas, and he had multiple things that sort of influenced him when he wrote the original trilogy. I'm not sure. I never heard that though, so that would be a new one for me. I'll have to dig into that.
Yeah, we'll have to
But-
dig into that. I'm sorry that I took you off track.
No, it's fine. It's fine. But it's actually that's really interesting because you have to think about Order 66 and the annihilation of the Jedi and things of that nature, and I could see it. I could see a little bit of similarities there, but yeah, but getting back to
Baby Yoda.
Mando and Baby Yoda, Grogu. Now he's
Grogu.
Din Grogu. Yeah. Which I think is cool, but I'm super excited, and this is just me personally. So my favorite Star Wars series of books growing up was a series called Heir to the Empire, and that was Grand Admiral Thrawn and the resurrection of the Empire, and that's when Leia and Han had their kids, and it was a really really important trilogy.
Can we do a couple of cleanup things now? Of course, I'm reading the comments that are coming in on Facebook.
All right.
So got a couple of comments, but we have a call-in number also if you want to say. What
We
the
always
call-
forget that.
Yeah. That's,
What is the number?
oh, is it? I thought it was going to your phone, right?
Yeah, if they want to call in. So, okay. Yeah, sorry, that's my fault. I forgot. We had like a special ghost number we were going to use at one point in time,
Yes.
but now we're using my phone. So, if anybody wants to call in, throw in your 2 cents, bring up a new subject. If you'll get tired of us talking about nerdy shit, that's fine. You can get us at 512-627.
Let's do this. 512.
627 6365. And I think, like I said last time, at this point, I get so many spam calls every day that I really don't care about putting my phone number out there. It is what it is.
All right, there we go. And one more cleanup thing just for me. What do I
Sure,
always
brother.
say? That we don't represent anybody but ourselves, so don't be too sensitive on this.
Yep.
And hopefully you're all adults because that makes it better.
Yeah, no, that's a big part of what we do here is we just try to have just civil conversation, and if we bring up the tough subjects and we say things you don't like, well, just either give us a call or comment in the comment section and tell us, and let's have a discourse about it.
Mike says that Russia was like the dark side. So
Russia is like the dark side. Was or is? Still is?
was like. That's what he said.
I could see that. Yeah. I could see that. Yeah.
So that plays into something else you had on your list. You said, "Are we the bad guys?"
Yeah. It's so. I wrote that down. I was listening to Breaking Points, and I like Breaking Points. It's if anybody doesn't know, Breaking Points is it's a online news organization, and it's more or less unaffiliated. They're not bound by the corporate takeover that is what is our current media landscape these days, that everybody has an angle, and they're all kind of bought by somebody. So I enjoy listening to them because you get an unbiased opinion on current events, and they don't pull punches at all, especially when it comes to our current and former government. Go back as far as you want to. I mean, they go back as far as talking about the Gulf of Tonkin with with Vietnam and how that was a false flag to pull us into that conflict.
Yeah.
Because it kind of boils down to, and where that statement came from is, you have to, if you're able to, take a step back and look at the United States as a world power, and look at the history of the conflicts we've been involved in since World War II and things of that nature. And obviously, we can't sit here and say that World War II wasn't a just cause for us to get involved in that. That was 100%. We needed to be there, and we did what we needed to do. But I feel in a certain way that not every conflict since then, but a lot that our military has gotten involved in haven't been perpetrated with the best of intentions. You think about, obviously, Vietnam was a horrible, horrible conflict, and we didn't really accomplish anything there, if you think about it. I mean, we killed God knows how many hundreds of thousands of and I'm not saying that we personally killed, just the conflict in general. Civilians, U.S. troops, Vietnamese troops, our allies' troops, things of that nature, and at the end of the day, nothing really came of it, And so, and then you look a little more recent in history, and you look at, obviously, the first Iraq War, the Gulf War. That was good intentions. I feel like we had every reason to be in there and to help out Kuwait.
It wasn't about money and oil.
I don't feel like that one was. I feel like the first Gulf War was we all went in there with the right intentions
Which was
to help liberate Kuwait from a foreign invader. You know what I mean? Iraq overstepped and assumed that the Western powers wouldn't get involved, and we showed the world that we had the most advanced military that the world has ever seen at that point in time, and we quickly stomped a big mud hole in their ass.
Of course, I don't know nothing about that.
You wouldn't know anything about
Yeah,
that.
I was there.
But it's more recently, I feel like that, you get into this conflict in Ukraine, and if you really dig a little bit, if you dig a few layers underneath, then you kind of see and you think, okay, well, why did Russia invade Ukraine? Okay, well, Russia has always been very, very picky about having some.
So are you saying that we're not the bad guys, that we are, and you loosely use we, because I don't know if we're talking about America?
I'm just talking about the Western powers in general. And I think there are certain times when we are. I feel like we're the aggressor. I feel like we push when we shouldn't. And this Ukraine thing is one that I really feel like I don't feel like we have any need to be pouring the amount of money and the amount of weapons into that conflict that we are. I feel like it is a flashpoint, and I feel like we're underestimating Mr. Putin and Russia's ability, not ability, but it's hard to think of a word here, but if you back somebody into a corner, especially somebody like that, and they have their finger on a button, and that button can annihilate the world, do you really want to push him?
So what would you think, that we should just sit back and let Ukraine get overtaken by Russia and they reclaim all the Soviet Union, what did they call it, the bloc,
The Soviet bloc.
yeah. So do we go back to that?
Do you think that was, or do you think that was his intention to go beyond Ukraine? Or
I think once you let a bully take a little bit, they're going to take every inch.
very true, very true.
So
It's a tough situation, and it's hard to sit here and say that I don't think we should be involved at all. I do think we should not be as deeply involved as we are. I feel like supplying aid and maybe small munitions, but there has to be a line. Now we're giving them tanks, possibly giving them jets.
no, we are giving them.
Yeah, exactly. Possibly giving them fighter aircraft.
They're giving them my F-16 I used to work on.
Yeah.
So,
The Brits have given them, the long-range missiles that Zelensky's desired for a while to strike Russia, to strike into Russia, to offensive strikes into Russia. These aren't defensive weapons anymore. These aren't weapons that will be used to defend Ukraine. Now these are weapons we're giving them to actually strike back at Russia. And you've got to sit there and look back and say, okay, well, how did the conflict start in the first place? NATO expansion in the early to mid 2000s. Why did we even desire to expand NATO? What's the reasoning behind that? I'm asking.
you're asking me? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Because you want to have as many friends as you can.
I get that, but at that point in time,
Just like,
Russia was
the circle, you don't
beaten
want it to get
adversary.
too wide, the circle
Yeah.
to get too wide, but...
But Russia was a beaten adversary at that point. So why expand a defensive alliance when your enemy
It's
is
defensive alliance.
already on its knees?
Well, as you see, the democracy which was Russia at one time did not hold,
Obviously.
and so you have to be ready for that return of the empire, as you might say, the first order to come back around.
Yeah.
and you have to be ready for it. I get what they're doing. I mean, do we want to be part of that from way over here? And that's why I'm going back. I'm trying to get us back to, are we the bad guys?
I feel like there are certain times when we are. Yes.
I 100% agree with you that we are the bad guys sometimes.
Our intelligence agencies and you know, I wouldn't say our military. I think our military just kind of, you know, does
We follow orders.
goes where it's told, and
Yeah, we follow.
but our leaders have made some really horrible decisions, and they like to stir certain pots that I feel like shouldn't be stirred. I mean, there's been, you know, we've overthrown governments, and we've installed, you know, as we say, you know, democratic governments, and the quagmire that was Afghanistan. I mean, it's, and I'm 100%. I don't want to take away from our soldiers' sacrifice that they've put into these battles and these wars, because I didn't serve in the military, so I can't even sit here and say that I know how it was or know what it was like over there, and I've talked to plenty of guys, and you know, I've heard that it was a pretty horrible situation, but I feel like the powers that be that make those
Luke,
decisions
can you get me one, please?
to send those guys into those sort of situations don't always have our best interests in heart, and so that's kind of where, and it's mildly upsetting, because you know, you grow up as a kid and you think, you know, America, you know, it's, you know, land of the free, home of the brave, and that's 100% the true story, but it's also, once you kind of dig into it a little bit and realize that, all right, well, not every time when we've been in these conflicts have our leaders had the country's or the troops' best interests in heart, you know. And so it's just a little disheartening, a little disappointing.
Well, when you come unmasked or unveiled what is true, like we've discussed before, the government doesn't tell you everything. They
Of course.
don't tell you the dirty little secrets behind why we do what we do. But like you said, the military does what they are told.
Trained to do. Yeah.
And I've been in a war before, didn't have boots on the ground, but excuse me.
I mean, you can go to the microphone and talk about it if you want to, bud.
Yeah.
There's
Why
one
don't
right
you
there.
Come
Yeah.
on, don't scream from the background.
Me and Justin already won all the money, buddy. Sorry. Yeah.
So yeah. But this is what this is about. This is the bar talk. We talk to friends. We have them on. I wish somebody would get on or something and say something. Let's go to this part. Let's go from the heavy topics and let's make it a little lighter. We wanted to talk about music at some point.
Yeah.
And you had a topic about popular music, and I mean, when I was a kid, I know I listened to a wide range of music, even though my parents didn't like it. I liked some country, and you know, but mostly it was R&B and some blues and jazz, stuff like that. What about yourself there?
So real quick, Justin, if you do me a favor, you see on my phone you're kind of cut out of it. Can you just turn it just a smidge so everybody can see your smiling face there?
Yeah, because last time you didn't show
We
up.
couldn't see none of you fools last time. It was just random voices. So let's get you in there.
Can you sound
Can you-
testing?
Yeah.
1 2 1 2.
I don't hear
2.
it. Go. Sound test again.
Yeah. Keep
Hello?
talking.
Hello?
There we
Hello?
go.
Yeah, all right.
So honestly, it actually was probably better without my face in there. Made you guys look a lot better, so
Hey, you know what? We all know who's the most attractive gentleman at the table.
Oh, my.
No, it's
right
fine.
here, right here.
It's fine.
God, the women love Aubrey.
Oh my! You know my parents are watching this.
But you guys were talking about music, and it's kind of funny because I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was talking about generations of music. Like basically every generation has their own music. Every generation has what actually feels to it. Pop music is not designed for people
I'm
who
gonna do one thing real quick. This is Justin.
Yes, everybody. Justin was on a couple weeks ago. Justin
Sorry
Medrano,
about
good
that.
friend of ours right here.
Justin Medrano, yeah, I was on here before. But generation-wise, pop music is not designed for people of our age, basically. Like, it's designed to get the lowest criteria of understanding and basically the youngest generation to just be like, oh, yeah, this sounds great.
I mean, so I can see that recently, maybe you say that,
Right.
but you also have to, you can't just, and that was kind of the subject that I wanted to get into, is that I feel like people have a tendency to label things and to kind of group things into a general designation. So when you say pop music, you're saying pop music obviously is popular music.
Yeah.
That's what it's based off of. So
Right.
you've got, obviously you've got, certain people in there who are just putting out generic radio filler type of music. But then you've also had people like Adele.
Adele is
In a pop
really great.
You have guys like Michael Jackson, the king of pop, who a lot of his songs, I mean, you think of like Billie Jean, I mean, a lot of his songs had a good writing and a lot of deep meaning behind them. A lot of them were just dance hits too, but you dig into any characterization or category of music in general, and you're gonna find these acts that
Were
are,
you a Backstreet Boy? That's what I want.
I fucking love Backstreet Boys. I love
You
like,
were a backdoor
Backstreet
boy.
Boys.
You were a backdoor boy.
I will, without any hesitation, say that I still to this day love. I had an NSYNC CD. I was 17 years old and went to the fucking, what was it? Not Hastings. What was the mall record shop? What was that?
I forgot the name of the record shop.
Yeah.
What was that? I can't.
I don't know, but I
Yeah.
literally went there to buy the NSYNC CD.
So,
I love that shit, and I am not a fucking shame to say it.
like you were saying, every generation you have this thought of what music is, right?
Yeah.
And you go, the next generation coming up, you go, that ain't even music, man. What is that? When I was
What is
coming
this
up,
noise?
when I was coming up, my dad was mad. I was, what was it? Oh, I can't remember the name.
Damn,
Of
thoughts lost.
I know. I don't know how that happens. Maybe it was Starfucker.
Well, it actually turns into a lot of what they started talking about was like generation was accustomed to a certain sound, to where like, okay, let's talk about Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash back in the 1980s was huge.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash was the man. He was the greatest. Everybody wanted to live to be Johnny Cash. And of course, country named changed.
I
And-
guarantee you that there was people out there that couldn't stand to listen
Yeah.
to Johnny Cash.
Yes,
Couldn't even-
absolutely.
and that's kind of that's where it comes from. Is obviously you're a country music fan.
I
I'm
am.
a country music fan. Aubrey will listen to country music.
I can dance.
I don't think it's his favorite style of music, but that's kind of where I'm going. Is that it upsets me and it annoys me these days when people say it and kind of going off of
New
the country
edition. Good Lord.
New
The
edition.
new edition is the biggest problem. Yes, absolutely. Aubrey is
Wow.
100%. Everybody's 100% on this. It's the new edition.
Well, New Edition is the name of the
band
band.
that I was trying to think
Yeah.
of.
That's an actual band.
That's an actual band.
What
It
genre?
was the,
What
it
genre?
was the Jackson 5 of my time period.
Wait, what?
So it was like the late 50s, early 60s.
Good one,
Yeah.
Brad.
Okay, that was the correct.
But you kind of grew up in the, what was it, the Rapper's Delight, kind of when hip hop was first gaining traction, things like that. That's
When
kind of
rap and hip-hop
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
first.
Now I know what you guys are talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and you had the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC,
I came of age, and then
but also had Cyndi Lauper. And
You also
Madonna
became a
and all
man.
that.
You
I
forgot
was
about.
a little young when the 80s
Yeah.
pop was coming.
But that's what my parents said wasn't music. What is this crap?
Yeah.
What are you listening to? But that was mine. Yours was NSYNC.
Oh, 100%.
What other music?
But also, so I used to love so when I was in high school, System of a Down, like
Yes.
the new metal, like Korn, Linkin
Yep.
Park, guys like that.
How old are you, Justin? Real quick.
I'm 32 years old, and
So
I did
you're
grow up
38.
with.
I'm 39, so we have a nice little generational gap. between
No,
all
but
three of us.
I did grow up with Korn, Metallica.
I like me some
System
Metallica.
of a Down.
Everybody grew up with
Tool.
There's certain bands that do just they cover all generations.
I feel like Tool is a very underrated band.
I love-
and
yeah.
they are absolute amazing.
If you're a true rock and roll fan and a metalhead, you know Tool, you know Maynard, Perfect Circle. Yeah, I mean I love all of his music.
Which was
controversial,
funny.
very controversial music. But
I played a Tool song one day for my oldest son. He's now 16 years old. No, I'm sorry. He's 15 years old. But I played a song for him when he was around like maybe 12, which was Tool. And he was wondering why the guy was like acting all weird. And I was like, well, he actually has a body action against him. He has an actual disease against him that's making him act that way. But his voice is amazing.
yeah, no, I mean Maynard's his voice and his songwriting is
Top
intense.
notch.
It is
Yeah,
it
it's
is very
up there.
intense. But kind of getting back to where I was shooting for on this subject is that it annoys me when people say I just listen to this or I don't like that, and so I'm gonna talk shit about it. Especially with country music. So I listen to a lot of you call it whatever you want to, red dirt, Texas country. A lot of the guys coming in now.
Are you referring to something like Merle Haggard or something?
I mean,
like that?
we'll call it anything. So the outside country music. So you have what they call the Nashville country.
Okay.
And then you have the outskirts. You got guys like Cody Jinks. You have guys like, Reckless Kelly, Cross Canadian back when they were doing their thing. A lot of those guys.
Cody Jinks is actually one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, but they're not Nashville. They're not the Nashville sound.
They're not
kinda,
on the radio.
They're kind of bringing it back to the old school country sound. And a lot of people that I talk to and that are friends of mine say I can't even stand to listen to that Nashville shit. It's not real country music. And I'm like, it's music. And if people enjoy listening to it, well, let them listen to it and let them enjoy the music that they enjoy. And we'll enjoy the music that we enjoy. There's no need to persecute somebody for enjoying something different. And there's no need to persecute the artists and say, oh, how dare you, Kane Brown, call yourself a country artist? Hey, who cares? They play him on country radio. Who gives a shit if he wants to call himself a country music artist? I mean, he's going to appeal to the people that he appeals to.
Yeah.
And we're going to listen to our Cody Jinkses and our Chris Stapletons and guys like that. And we're not going to listen to Kane Brown because it's not the type of music that we enjoy. But there's no need to say, and to put it in a box and say, this is country music and it can only be this. And this is pop music and this is rock music. And this is hip-hop.
So maybe an unpopular opinion onto this. I don't like Jason Aldean. I don't like Luke Bryan.
There's people out there that don't like him.
Let me ask you a question. This has always been on my mind. I'm like, so one time I had a woman that wanted to make love to country music, and I just could not do it.
No. You cry to country music. When you break up with your girlfriend, you listen to country music.
So
Yes.
country music and rock and roll. How? Do y'all find like little rock songs that you can?
No, I don't feel like I could. I don't feel like I could to get down to like Metallica. I don't think I have the stamina for that.
How does this work? I know what we do. We got our R&B and stuff like that. You can really.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I will give credit. There are some country songs out there that just frequent, like, love making, but they're so rare. God, if you could find those songs, air it up, bro.
You know what? Do some homework. Find me.
Do
a
some
list of
homework.
those.
Next podcast.
I cannot even imagine trying to.
He's gonna have a list for us this next.
I could not
podcast.
imagine trying to lay down some good loving to he stopped loving her today. Like literally, I feel like I would get 2 strokes in and probably just be like, nope. I need
Not gonna happen.
I need a beer and I need a shot of whiskey and I just need to be myself
So
for
how
a while.
about Culture
Or maybe
Club
it's
and
what-
Boy George? Did you ever listen to any of that? I know.
A little bit. That was the
Are you talking about Florida Georgia Line?
No. Culture Club, Boy George.
Boy George. That was the.
Boy George,
That's the
okay.
song from The Wedding Singer, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Of course.
I can't sit here and say that I listen to it a lot.
Okay, so I'm transitioning if you didn't know that. 'Cause you also had on your list labels and stuff like that. So Boy George of my time was like first kind of cross-dresser, like David Bowie and all those kind of things. What did you want to get into on that?
Well, that was something, and I could sort of carry it from the music conversation. And, people want to put certain music in a box and say, this is what I listen to, and if you don't like this, well, then fuck you, kind of shit. And it annoys me. And it also annoys me when people are doing the same thing nowadays with the gender identification, things like that. And I know that this is a touchy subject, but we're going to get
All right.
into it.
This is very touchy.
Bam!
We're gonna do it. We're gonna throw down.
Throw that bomb down there. Let's go.
I don't understand, and maybe I'm insensitive because I'm not in their shoes, but I don't understand the necessity behind somebody insisting that you call them by their proper pronouns, or putting it out there. If you're, and this is my personal opinion, if you're trans, fucking rock and roll, he, she, whatever you call yourself, I don't fucking care. It's awesome. You do you, but when you make it this thing and you push it out there and you try to push it on other people, that's when I start having a problem.
Absolutely.
You be you. I'm gonna be me, and that's perfectly fine. But when you get mad at me because I accidentally call you sir when you're identifying as a woman, it's not intentional. There's no need to get angry about it. But people these days are so heated about these gender politics and things like that I just don't get it. There are things that are way more important right now going on than whatever sex change this celebrity decided, or this celebrity's kid is, oh my god, this celebrity's kid just came out as transgender.
So they're saying though that they're not having their rights. They don't have the rights to health care.
Well,
they don't
I
have
feel
the
like-
right to express themselves, and we're like, and when I say we, I'm using
The broad term.
Yeah, definite.
Yeah.
Which, absolutely, everybody has freedom in
So-
this country. Everybody can do whatever they want.
slow down there, cowboy.
But I will give you guys a story.
No,
if
slow
you wanna
down
hear
there, cowboy. Everybody does not have their rights. People have more rights over here or over there, and that's what they're. That's what I'm getting at. I'm gonna drive the
Point home,
drive the devil's advocate all the way.
especially like Florida. I mean,
Yeah.
Florida's
Yeah, Florida
Don't
is
say gay.
suspect.
persecuting.
We can't even say gay. You can't have books or anything in schools with any gender or anything that's. I mean,
Yeah.
Florida's
Anything
really
towards,
driving,
like,
and Texas
general
isn't too far behind.
And the problem with that is that there's this reaction, and then there's this other reaction. So there's an action, and then there's a reaction. And the reaction from the states right now is overboard. Okay, I understand that certain school districts, whatever, have pushed certain literature into schools that probably should not be being taught in elementary schools and things like that. But when you start banning books, I understand, but have a discourse about it. Have a discussion and ask the parents, ask the people that are involved with that certain school district. Don't just say a statewide ban on certain things. And that's the overreaction from the right. You know what I mean?
Honestly, yeah, that has been a big reaction, especially with on both sides. I'm not saying any side is right, any side is wrong, but looking at it, I've been watching videos and talking about teaching sex ed to people and to our children, and they're talking about we want you to ensure you have the greatest advantage of these courses you're doing.
Yeah.
Amelia
One-on-one.
says hi.
Who does?
And it's done.
Amelia
But
says hi.
Oh, Amelia.
Now,
from
I
20 feet
I
away.
will tell you guys a story that involved my daughter. I have a daughter. She's now 13. At the time, she was like about 8 or 9 years old. We went to Walmart. We were about to do some shopping. My daughter told me, "Hey, I need to use the bathroom." I was like, "All right, cool." So I took her to the bathroom. I sat outside. I was just leaning against the door, just like, okay, I'm waiting for my daughter. Guy tried to walk in. I was like, "Hey, man, the bathroom's over there." He was like, "Well, no, I identify as a woman, so yeah, I'm gonna go in here." I was like, "Whoa, we need to think about this because I don't feel safe because you look like a grown-ass man. You are a grown-ass man, and you need to use. Oh, sorry, you need to use the men's restroom. Like, that's
Come
it."
closer to the microphone.
And so
There we go.
basically, it turned into an altercation where this guy tried to push past me to go into the female's bathroom, and I ended up having to throw him. And he started crying. He curled up into a ball, started bawling. They called the cops. So I took my daughter aside, and she came out of the bathroom. I was like, "Okay, well, are you okay?" She was like, "Yeah." She's like, "What's going on with this guy?" I was like, "I don't know. Let's go." Well, of course, imagine my surprise. APD pulls up, maybe like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Hey, come over here and talk to us." I was like, "Son of a bitch."
Well, do you think the situation could be handled
That's what I was
better?
Gonna say.
So,
No,
if it's a gender-neutral bathroom, or if he identifies as
It
a
was not
the
a
problem wasn't that somebody identified as this and what bathroom. The problem was that your daughter was in there, and that's what you should have said. Is that
Yeah.
my daughter's
Yes.
in there right now, and I don't want you in there, whatever you identify as, with my daughter. She's a little girl.
yeah,
Yes, and no, it was not.
gender neutral.
Yeah,
So it's just a female restroom.
right.
Yeah.
And my
Labeled
daughter
female.
was 8 years old. And I was like, "No, I'm not going to be okay with that."
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you
that's
kidding me?
that's-
What father would be okay with that?
I kind of like what Alamo's doing now. They don't have bathrooms labeled female or male. They just
There's a lot of
just a restroom. and
at
they've
least
got-
in an art area,
Yeah.
the Austin area. I've been
Right.
into quite a few establishments now that have just gone to the gender neutral thing,
Yeah.
and it's kind of one of those things where I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But it is a common lock on their doors nowadays that, like, hey, yes, you can go in here, whatever gender you are, but you lock it behind you.
Oh,
It's
I
not
know.
like an open area.
Yeah, it's the one rest.
Yeah.
One toilet in there, or
Now I've been into
Right.
to communal restrooms that are gender neutral as well,
really.
and yeah,
I've been in them too.
And so at that point you have to say, okay, well, if I'm uncomfortable with you being in here, well then I'm gonna make you as uncomfortable as you make me. You know what I mean? And so to me, it's almost it's a better solution to the problem. It's just take the signs off the doors and just say everybody use whatever restroom you want to. Because if person A is going to have a problem with using the same bathroom as them, well then person B might also have a problem. So just
Right.
throw them all together into a mixing pot and let them figure it out.
But involving children into that plan always
Well, that's
has a big.
Well, you should have had the opportunity at that point if he was insisting on going into that bathroom to say, okay, well, then I'm going to come in, my daughter's in there, I'm going to come in there with you to make sure that no shenanigans arise. You know what I mean?
I did not take that task. What I did was I told him he's not going in. He's not going in. That's it. Like,
and
my
that's,
daughter's in.
and that's why people are having a problem with
Yes.
my right.
Because then you just took his right to use the restroom away from him or her, whoever.
Right, and
Whether-
it's a
whatever.
big subject. I get it turns a lot of people away. It makes people think a lot of way.
Well, it's a tough conversation to have, and there's no
But as a
no
father,
easy answer.
as a father, no, I would never have a man enter into a restroom like that. And I felt I make the right choice. Now, APD came up to me and they were like, "Hey, we need to talk to you." I was like, "Son of a gun!" And they came up to me and they put me in handcuffs and everything because I threw this man
Yeah,
away
that-
from the bathroom.
Violence is never something that they're.
It's
going
not.
to-
It's not the answer.
We're at
It is-
45 minutes. 45 minutes, so we got to
45.
start to put a bow on it. But
Let me just wrap up the story real quick. I threw the guy. He got hurt a little bit. Like, I'm talking about a bruise. But he curled up into a ball. He started crying. And I was just like, what the hell? Now, my daughter, I love her to death. She came out of the bathroom finally, and she looked at me. She's like, hey, I'm done. Let's go. And she looked at the guy. He goes, what the hell is wrong with him? I was like, he's a wuss.
Well-
She goes, oh, okay.
all
And
right,
we walked
slow,
away.
again, I'm going to tell you to slow down
No,
there, cowboy. Slow down.
I know.
All right.
I'm sorry. I apologize. But this guy was trying so hard.
Well, you assaulted him.
Yeah.
I
I'm saying,
did
like,
assault
you
him.
assaulted
I
him.
know we're
I
trying, to
did
take
assault-
it easy on you
So-
here, but you use violence to
Yeah.
solve a situation that didn't need
Here's
to
the thing.
have that.
The cops came up to me, and they were like, okay, so
but you keep skipping the part where you assaulted someone.
No, okay, let me give justice onto the term. So later on, I'm still shopping with my family, and a couple
Let it
cops
go.
came up.
Alright.
I know. A couple cops came up, and they were like, hey, what happened? And I told them verbatim what happened. The guy tried to push past me to go into the bathroom with my daughter inside. I told him he would not be doing that, and he would not be entering in.
Yeah.
I gave him fair warning. So, by legal stance, no. I gave him fair questioning and fair warning. And when he tried to
I mean,
push in,
we've gone around the circle.
Yeah.
On this. I hear what you're saying, but
I would say legally, I think if the man identified as a woman, he's legally allowed to use that bathroom.
no, and they actually put me in cuffs because of it.
yes,
That's
and
the
so
problem.
we're gonna wrap that part up because
Okay.
we don't. I don't. I mean, we talk about violence and things that go on in schools and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, I'm never going to advocate that we solve a problem with violence.
No. And
Okay.
honestly, I was very wrong for it. I was
Okay.
very against it. And I don't like violence.
One last thing that we, as you know, we're both on diets right now, right?
Yeah.
And trying to make healthy food choices. I don't think we make healthy drinking choices, but probably food choices.
Yeah.
Food choice is a big thing.
So, what's your journey there, sir?
I mean, so I'm trying not to call what I'm doing a diet.
Okay.
I'm literally not really even, I'm not eating diet food. I'm not really trying to. I do count my calories, but I feel like I stay at
No worries.
a normal level. You know what I mean? I say 2,000 calories a day. I try to stay at or under that, which is, they say the daily limit. That's what you see in all the boxes, 2,000 calories a day.
For your height and,
Sure, whatever.
Structure.
I don't really look into all that, but for me, it's more of a lifestyle thing. So I've spent a lot of my years basically just doing whatever the fuck I want to. I'll binge drink and I'll binge eat, and it's a vicious cycle. And I've gone through a couple of diets where I've dropped a bunch of weight, but it's never sustainable. And so I'm creeping up on 40 now, and it's one of those things where I'm like, could I drop the weight again? Could I get down to where I wanted to be? Yeah, I could do it, but I'm just gonna balloon back up when I get off the diet
Hi. It's good
Because-
seeing you.
because what I'm doing is not something that I can sustain.
Come on and give us a hug. Come on.
Come say hi.
Good to
Come on.
see you.
What's that?
I'm a little bit wet, but that's
You're fine. I've been sweating all day.
Have a
My
safe
love.
drive.
I will.
all right. Be
One of
careful.
our friends just came up to say hi. Well, honestly, Brad,
A
that is
couple
a
of 'em.
great thing.
I hope I look good.
Always.
Like watching your diet and watching what you eat and your intake, that is a big thing. However, a lot of people think like, oh yeah, the more green I eat, the less I'll lose. And it's honestly backwards. Like the more you eat, the more bread you eat.
Well, I mean, look, everybody's gonna have it different. Pretty much what I'm doing is I'm just trying to eat less, and I'm trying to stay away from certain types of foods. I'm trying to stay away from fast food, sodas, things of that nature. Trying to, as much as possible, control my alcohol intake, which that's the toughest one out of all of them.
that's the toughest.
100%. But and then adding in some consistent exercise. And that's the biggest thing too. Is it's perfectly fine if you go out for a walk a couple days a week, but you've got to. What I've realized now is you have to be consistent, and you have to build a habit. You've got to build a habit if you want it to be a lasting change in your life. You have to turn these things into habitual behavior, 100%. So when it comes to like what I'm eating, so I try to structure my meals that I eat this. I have breakfast, morning snack, lunch, afternoon snack, and then dinner. And I try to not eat dinner later than a certain time at night. Don't eat too late, things of that nature. And it's tough. I mean, it's really tough. And I've fallen off the wagon multiple times. And I know that, you had really good success with your recent diet. You dropped, 20 pounds, 20 plus pounds? And
Yeah, I'm almost at 27, 28 pounds now. Yeah, intermittent fasting and try to have good food choices. I eat between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. is like my cutoff when I eat. So I eat what I want then, but I try to make it healthy.
Yeah.
And so I've had a real good success rate with that right now. But I know what my body reacts to.
Yeah.
And my body does not take well to late night eating and all that kind of stuff. And then when I got down to 220, I started working out. And now I'm about 216, 217 where I want to be now.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of success with that.
No, that's
and
good.
I see Justin here, and I don't think he has any problem.
I don't think you need to go on a diet, brother. If anything,
To be honest, if
you need to
anything,
eat a
I
fucking
need
sandwich.
to eat more.
You need to eat a fucking
I
sandwich.
need to get him a sandwich.
Yeah.
Actually, my doctor has told me many times, like, hey man, when you eat, snack.
Well, they say that, and this is what I've heard, and this is kind of why I try to eat small portions throughout the day, is that, when you eat a large meal, when you're starving and you eat a large meal, well, okay, that's your mind telling you that you need to eat this amount of food. And even though if your body says stop, your mind is still, no, we're still hungry.
Right.
So if you listen to your body and say, okay, when my body says I'm full, I need to stop eating, well, that's good. But that was always the thing I didn't ever do. If I went to a Chinese buffet, I was going to eat until I was sick, almost, and that was a problem that I had, and that is kind of the problem that I'm trying to solve, is my problem with overeating, especially after drinking, things of that nature.
One of my psychology professors, when I was going to school, she said that the best way to give your stomach time to tell you that it's full is to eat everything that you eat with a fork and a knife. You take one bite at a time, fully chew
And
it,
chew it. Yeah.
and then swallow it. And then take the next bite. Don't stuff, because you'll overeat that way.
And before you even know you're full, then you've already overindulged at that point. Yeah.
Right.
No, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And I've tried it. I think I've always been kind of a slow eater, but I tried to for sure these days. And I remember, so when I was a kid, it was so.
What about that taco night the other night?
Oh, you want to talk about that?
Let's do it.
My Taco Bell night.
Yeah.
So.
What did you order from Taco Bell?
so-
I want to hear this.
For those out there, Brad.
I'm just loving this.
Brad got a little in the bag on Friday night, and I
Is
think
that
it was
Friday? I don't
Maybe it was
remember.
Thursday.
It's Thursday. I think it was Thursday.
It was Thursday night. You're
Was
right.
it Thursday?
It was Thursday. Yeah, it was karaoke night, and we went and did our thing. And our friend Vince showed up. And if he's listening, shout out to Vince.
Yeah, shout out to Ben.
You're a son of a bitch because you got all of us twisted Thursday night.
Wrecked.
We still love you, but
8
yeah,
shots in 30 minutes.
all your fault. All your fault. So
I
yeah,
love
that
it.
night I went home
That's so
and I ordered Taco Bell and forgot about it and passed out. And so I woke up the next morning and the Taco Bell was still sitting on the front porch. And that was unfortunate because I like to add on to my Uber Eats stuff. So I had put like sour cream on everything.
But what did you order though? That's
Yeah,
I'm
I
getting
honestly
there.
want to know what you
I'm getting
actually
there.
ordered.
So I ordered
Chalupa.
chicken quesadilla, two of the whatever they call them, like the chicken Southwest tacos. I forget what the
Chicken
Chipotle
quesadilla?
tacos, the chicken Chipotle
Yeah.
tacos, the soft tacos. Two of those. I got a chicken fajita power bowl, one of the big power bowls. They're like $10
so you
fucking dollars.
could
so I
the
could
healthy.
pretend that I was being healthy. Yeah. See, no carbs in this one. What's up? Except for the rice. Except for all the fucking rice. Yeah. And then I got a 12-pack of the Cinnabon sugar balls, which I really needed. Right, I needed dessert after that for sure.
No cinnamon?
And so after delivery fees and all that good stuff and tip, I checked my bank account the next morning, and that was a $50 lick.
$50 at Taco Bell.
$50 lick that
They
I
had
didn't
150
eat
fucking tacos.
any
to
of
do
it.
it.
I didn't eat
God.
any of it because it had sat outside all night long, and there was dairy in it, all the sour cream, and I was sitting there like, do I take the chance? The fat boy inside of me was like, eat it, eat it, eat it.
Have you ever woken up with food? I've woken up with food before, like.
Oh, like we're like
Oh, you're
on your
talking about,
pillow,
like,
there's like a slice of pizza next to you.
Yes.
Yeah, just the partial eating where like
Were you-
you're lifting tacos.
Were you still kind of coming to us? You're just kind of like,
Yes, 100%.
pepperoni stuck to the side of your face. Yeah. That was an interesting night.
Now I wake up with healthy food beside me. I'm like, got a salad. Oh, good times, good times.
Good times.
All right, well, Brad, this has been episode 5.
Not bad, brother. Not bad.
Not bad at all, especially how I was feeling.
Yeah, I think you were. You're still riding a little rough.
Thanks, Bruce and Nicole.
Yeah. Happy belated to both of those
I know.
fine individuals.
Well, Bruce's birthday is Monday and Nicole's is on Tuesday.
But y'all were celebrating, and I wasn't even aware of that. But I should have put two and two
We're
together
celebrating.
because y'all were off to the races.
Not y'all. I was.
No, it,
were-
it
you
was
were-
a y'all. It was
I
a
think
y'all
I was
moment.
just hanging on for the
was it
ride.
like in the old westerns where they roped the dude around the ankles and
Yes.
just drag him through
I
town?
think
That was Aubrey.
That was what-
That was Bruce and Nicole on horseback, and that's Aubrey right behind them. Whee!
Great times, great times. So this is episode 5. We've put it in the books.
Absolutely.
Ready for episode
Hey,
6?
I appreciate you guys letting me on the show.
Yeah,
All right,
Justin,
thank you.
I
absolutely,
appreciate
man.
it so much. I'm glad to be a part of episode 4 and
Hey,
5. To be honest
Threesome
with
is
you guys,
always better than a.
I've never actually.
That's what I've heard.
Episode.
Me
what
too.
I've heard.
I've never.
I mean, never personally experienced that, but
I'm not
if we,
gonna- I'm not
man,
gonna-
that's not. We won't elaborate into that, folks. So yeah, no.
I've never been a part of it.
Well,
Sure.
I appreciate you guys letting me on with y'all. Of course, I've always respected y'all as my friends, good family. Of course, I always respected y'all as my brothers. So,
Hey,
I'm
it
glad
all
for
comes down to good conversation, man.
You are still welcome to crush that like button, hit the subscribe, because that's how we know what's good and what's bad. Give us some comments. Let us know what's going on so we can make this a better show.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We love our fan, so thank you very much. That's our running joke. So
Our one fan.
our one
Oh,
fan.
one fan.
It's probably a Russian bot farm out there. Yeah.
All right.
Hey, man, I re-download my YouTube
Hey, you
account.
know what?
I will subscribe.
Das Vidanya.
All right. Thank you till next week.
Good night, guys.